If your foot ever touched the surface of Jupiter, just one step, it wouldn't be like anything you've ever experienced on Earth. It wouldn't even be like falling into a volcano or diving into the deepest part of the ocean. No. What would happen is something far more horrifying, something our minds aren't wired to fully grasp. Right now, you might be picturing massive storms, crushing gravity, and swirling clouds, but that's only scratching the surface. There's a hidden terror beneath all that chaos, a planet so gigantic and unpredictable. Stepping on it isn't even scientifically possible in the way we think. Yet, what if somehow you could? What if your body passed through those deadly layers one by one? What if your senses stayed active for just long enough to witness what's really down there? And more importantly, what if something is watching back? Listen, I know you're here because something about Jupiter just feels different. Maybe it's the fact that it could fit over 1/300 Earths inside it. Or maybe it's that mysterious red eye that's been spinning for centuries, like a warning sign we still can't understand. Whatever brought you here, you're about to get the answer you came for. But this isn't just about planets or science. It's about you. And what your body, your brain, your very existence would go through if you ever dared to touch a world that was never meant to be walked on. And I want you to stay with me till the end. Not just because this story builds towards something no one talks about, but because you're not going to believe where this all leads. This isn't a space documentary. This is a journey into an alien hellscape layered with pressure, heat, and things no probe has survived to report back. Throughout this story, I'll take you deeper than any satellite has ever gone. You'll meet the silent dangers that exist in Jupiter's core. Not creatures, but conditions so extreme they behave like predators. We'll explore why Jupiter is considered not just a planet, but possibly the graveyard of ancient worlds. And maybe, just maybe, the hiding place of something humanity isn't ready to find. But here's the real twist. Something weird happens at the center. Something science is only now beginning to theorize. Something terrifyingly unnatural. And once I show it to you, you'll never look at the night sky the same way again. So, before you skip, just ask yourself this. If stepping on Jupiter is impossible, why are some scientists so obsessed with what's underneath? What did they really find when they pointed deep penetrating sensors toward its core? Stay right here, because what comes next is the part they don't put in the textbooks. And it's the reason this story ends with a choice that no one saw coming. It starts long before anyone thought to ask what would happen if you stepped on Jupiter. It begins in a quiet control room buried beneath miles of steel and reinforced concrete, hidden deep inside a forgotten part of the Nevada desert. Inside that room, a handful of people watch Jupiter every single day. Not the way you and I might. With awe and curiosity, but with a sense of creeping urgency. These aren't your typical scientists either. They're part of a classified division under a project so confidential, even its name changes every few months. They call it the Descent. And the reason you've never heard of it is because what they found, or what they believe is hiding within Jupiter, was never meant to go public. This isn't about a gas giant anymore. It's about what Jupiter is hiding, or protecting, and what would be unleashed if that protection fails. In the early 2000s, one of NASA's deep space probes captured a sequence of thermal anomalies in Jupiter's southern hemisphere, regions that seemed to emit heat signatures far too intense to be explained by any known atmospheric process. At first, it was dismissed as data corruption. Then it repeated, again and again. And each time the signature grew stronger, more detailed, almost patterned. It didn't behave like a storm or radiation flare. It moved with direction, intention. The data was quietly pulled from public archives, and the mission logs were sealed. Years passed, but a small group of scientists kept digging. They built new instruments. They beamed focused signals through Jupiter's cloud layers, using frequencies no civilian telescope could ever match. The signals bounced back, but they came back distorted, like echoes bouncing off some kind of structure buried deep within the planet. not natural formations. Something designed. And then came the real twist. One of the signals sent toward Jupiter caused a minor pulse, a kind of planetary reaction that hadn't been documented before. The atmosphere shifted subtly. The magnetic field flickered for a fraction of a second, long enough to set off alarms in orbiting satellites. For the first time in human history, Jupiter responded. That was when everything changed. Funding poured in from undisclosed sources. Military-grade probes were launched under civilian project names, and the deeper they went, the stranger the results became. Liquid hydrogen behaving like metal, pressure levels beyond prediction. But the most shocking discovery came when one of the probes sent back images that didn't make sense. A pattern, faint and fractured, resembling architecture. Not ruins, not rock, but shapes that looked like corridors, chambers, symmetry. No. One said it out loud, but the implication hung in the air like static. Jupiter might not just be a planet. It might be a container. Or worse, a cage. Enter Elena Riker, a theoretical physicist turned whistleblower who had been working off-grid ever since she left one of those shadow programs. She spent years quietly leaking harmless anomalies to online forums, slowly building a base of amateur astronomers and space enthusiasts who believed something was off about Jupiter. But then she vanished. No public trace, no sightings, just gone. Until a strange file showed up in the inbox of a popular science YouTuber known for deep dive content. It contained coordinates, encrypted telemetry, and a chilling voice note. Don't let them seal it again. Look deeper, it's waking up. The video was pulled within hours, the channel mysteriously suspended. But not before a few thousand people downloaded it. And what they found led to the creation of underground communities dedicated to decoding what's now known as the Jupiter signal. You can still find fragments of the data online hidden in code, disguised in memes. The rabbit hole goes deeper than anyone imagined. Meanwhile, in orbit, a joint project between SpaceX and a private defense firm launched an AI-driven drone toward the outer layers of Jupiter. It wasn't meant to land, just to skim the atmosphere and send back ultra-high-resolution readings. But something went wrong. The drone vanished 30 seconds after entry. No debris, no signal, nothing, except for a single audio clip buried in the black box backup. What sounded like a pulse, not a natural one. It resembled a low-frequency tone used in underwater military communication. Only this was far more complex, like a language. Except, it wasn't meant for us. It was meant to respond to us. And that's when the dreams began. Back on Earth, multiple researchers, people from different countries unknown to each other, began reporting the same nightmare. A voice, deep and layered, whispering coordinates, a spiral staircase descending through clouds, a door, and a choice. The reports were filed away as mass psychosis, stress-induced hallucinations. But then 2 of the scientists went missing, vanished from locked rooms, surveillance footage corrupted, their labs found destroyed by what looked like electrical surges from within. No known power source could replicate the damage. That was when the remaining scientists stopped asking questions. But one, Dr. Miles Hartley, couldn't let it go. He quit his post, went dark, and started a podcast under a false name, leaking details to anyone who would listen. His last episode ended. Mid-sentence, no one's heard from him since. Now here's where it gets worse. Remember that massive storm on Jupiter known as the Great Red Spot? It's been shrinking. That might sound like good news. It's not. That storm acts like a cap, a pressure valve, and beneath it is where most of these anomalies originate. If it collapses entirely, the magnetic shield could fracture. And if Jupiter really is containing something, then every piece of mythology, every ancient text about gods descending from the skies or watchers from the deep, suddenly doesn't feel like fiction anymore. It feels like a warning we misunderstood. The question isn't just what happens if you step on Jupiter. The real question is, what happens if Jupiter steps on us? So far, Everything you've heard has been scrubbed from mainstream reports, but there's a pattern forming. Strange bursts in our atmosphere, unexplained energy waves radiating from Jupiter toward Earth, and deep-sea anomalies that seem to spike every time Jupiter crosses a specific point in its orbit. It's not random, and it's not just space, it's global. This isn't just about astronomy anymore, it's about survival, and someone or something is preparing for something massive. The final layer of the mystery is still locked away, but pieces are falling into place. If Elena was right, we only have a small window left before the next event. The pulse is due again, soon, and when it comes, you'll know. Everyone will. Because the sky will look different, the signals will return. And maybe this time the voice won't whisper. It'll speak, loud, clear, demanding an answer, or a sacrifice. And just when you think that's where the nightmare ends, there's one more thing. Recently decrypted data from a black satellite, positioned beyond Mars, picked up a reflection. A perfect mirror signal bouncing back not from Jupiter, but from something orbiting just inside its shadow. Something that wasn't there before. Something stationary. Watching. Waiting. We still don't know what it is. But if it's been recording us, every launch, every drone, every signal we've ever sent, then maybe Jupiter isn't the story. Maybe it's the shield, and what's behind it is waking up. Keep watching, because in the next part, I'll reveal what scientists now believe is buried beneath Jupiter's metallic hydrogen ocean. It's not a core. It's not even a planet as we understand it. And once you see the data yourself, you'll understand why stepping on Jupiter might not be the end, but the beginning of something humanity is not ready to face. The pulse everyone feared wasn't just a theoretical possibility anymore. It was approaching with terrifying certainty. Scientists who once debated its existence in hushed tones now scrambled to interpret fresh data, streaming in from a newly launched array of deep space telescopes and quantum sensors stationed in orbit around Earth. The signals were unmistakable. Rhythmic, structured bursts of energy emanating from Jupiter's depths, growing stronger with each passing hour. What had once been a faint whisper in the cosmic static was becoming an undeniable roar. The question burning on everyone's minds wasn't just about what lay beneath Jupiter's swirling clouds. It was about what it was preparing to do, and whether humanity was ready for it. Miles Hartley's disappearance had ignited a flame. Among underground researchers, conspiracy theorists, and even some rogue scientists who were convinced that the truth had been buried too deep for too long. His podcast episodes, incomplete though they were, circulated on the dark web and in private chat rooms, inspiring a new wave of vigilance. Groups monitoring Jupiter's magnetic field noticed unusual fluctuations coinciding precisely with the predicted pulse intervals. Even casual stargazers began noticing strange auroras flickering far earlier than expected, a sign that Earth's magnetosphere was being rattled in ways not caused by the sun. Meanwhile, Elena Riker's last transmissions, cloaked in encryption, hinted at something far more disturbing than mere planetary phenomena: an intelligence, or at least a complex system, buried inside the gas giant's core. In a secret meeting, held deep beneath the Arctic ice, representatives from several world powers gathered to discuss the findings. Satellites had begun detecting a massive, shadowy object orbiting close to Jupiter's equator, unmoving, inscrutable, and seemingly absorbing the planet's electromagnetic energy. This dark satellite defied explanation. It wasn't man-made, nor did it match any known natural formation. Its presence suggested something ancient, something watching and possibly influencing Jupiter's behavior. What the assembled experts failed to realize was that the dark satellite was only the surface of a far deeper enigma. As the pulse approached, evidence began to surface that this object was not merely passive, but actively communicating. With whom, or what, nobody could say. Across the globe, seemingly unrelated incidents began to spike. Submarines operating. Near the Mariana Trench reported mysterious electromagnetic disturbances and unexplained sonar echoes that resembled complex patterns rather than random noise. Deep ocean sensors picked up energy bursts matching the same frequency as the signals from Jupiter, suggesting a cosmic connection stretching across millions of miles. Some speculated that Jupiter's influence reached into Earth's oceans, possibly interacting with unknown forces buried deep beneath the seafloor. Local fishermen told stories of strange lights beneath the waves, while scientific expeditions found inexplicable anomalies in the chemistry and temperature of ocean water, defying current understanding of marine physics. At the heart of this growing storm stood Dr. Cassandra Hale, a planetary geophysicist whose expertise in extreme environments made her one of the few qualified to interpret the latest findings. Haunted by the loss of her mentor, who had been among the missing scientists linked to the Jupiter investigation, Cassandra found herself caught between scientific curiosity and a growing sense of dread. The deeper she delved into the data, the clearer it became that Jupiter was not merely a planet of gas and storms, but a living system of unimaginable complexity. The metallic hydrogen layer, theorized to behave like a superconducting ocean, appeared to be shifting, almost pulsing in response to the energy surges, and that suggested that Jupiter's interior might be capable of generating consciousness on a scale no human mind could comprehend. Her research was interrupted by a sudden communication from a colleague embedded within the secretive project controlling the deep space probes. The message was brief and coded but terrifying. "The cage is weakening. The pulse will break it soon." This cryptic warning sent Cassandra into a frenzy of analysis, piecing together fragmented telemetry with decades-old data about Jupiter's storms, magnetic field anomalies, and the elusive core that might be more myth than matter. It became increasingly clear that what was held inside Jupiter was not inert. It was something trapped, something dangerous, something waiting for release. Just as Cassandra prepared to present her findings to the global scientific community, an unthinkable event shattered the fragile calm. The dark satellite that had orbited silently for months suddenly emitted a blinding burst of energy, visible even to the naked eye from Earth's night skies. The energy disrupted satellite communications worldwide and triggered a cascade of failures in sensitive electronic systems. Across the planet, people experienced brief blackouts, strange electromagnetic pulses, and visions of otherworldly shapes in the skies, fleeting yet unmistakable. Governments scrambled to control information as rumors of an impending cosmic event went viral, fueling panic and fascination in equal measure. What no one understood was that the burst was a signal, a message sent outward, an awakening call to something far beyond human reach. Amid the chaos, an unexpected twist emerged. From the archives of ancient history, hidden within forgotten manuscripts and religious texts, was a pattern of stories describing a celestial guardian, an enormous being chained beneath the clouds, its power contained by ancient rituals and cosmic alignments. These legends, long dismissed as myth, suddenly gained new relevance. Some scholars posited that Jupiter's storms and magnetic fields were the modern echoes of those ancient bindings. If the pulse was breaking those bonds, then what was imprisoned was not just waking but preparing to return. The implications were staggering. Humanity was standing on the threshold of a confrontation written in the stars long before the first humans gazed skyward. Meanwhile, underground communities tracking the Jupiter signal found themselves facing internal divisions. Some believed the pulse was a chance for evolution, a cosmic event that could unlock latent human potential. Others feared it was a harbinger of doom, a cataclysm no one could survive. As debate raged, secret factions formed, groups seeking to harness the signal's power for their own ends, others desperate to silence it forever. The boundary between science and superstition blurred, and the struggle for control became as intense as the cosmic mystery itself. Back on Earth, Cassandra's team detected an unprecedented spike in Jupiter's electromagnetic activity. The planet was no longer a distant observer, but an active participant in a cosmic event unfolding across the solar system. The dark satellite's movements became erratic, suggesting it was responding to forces from within Jupiter's core. As the pulse approached its peak, Instruments detected a shockwave traveling through space-time, a ripple that bent the very fabric of reality, hinting at a breach between dimensions. What that meant was beyond current human comprehension, but the warning was clear. The cage was breaking, and whatever lay inside was about to be unleashed. In the final moments before the climax, the story's true depth came into focus. Jupiter was not simply a planet or a prison, but the fulcrum of an ancient cosmic balance. The pulse wasn't just a physical phenomenon. It was a message, a catalyst, and possibly a test. And humanity's response to this event would determine not only their survival, but their place in the universe. As the planet's storm systems churned with renewed fury and Earth's skies lit with unnatural auroras, one question loomed larger than ever. When the pulse breaks the cage, will we be ready to face what comes next? Or will the nightmare that began with one impossible step turn into an irreversible descent into chaos? As the pulse reached its terrifying crescendo, the entire solar system seemed to hold its breath. Jupiter's immense storms erupted in dazzling bursts of electrical fury, lighting the heavens with an ethereal glow that could be seen even from Earth's surface. Every instrument, every probe, and every eye trained on the gas giant recorded, a phenomenon unlike anything previously witnessed in human history. The energy surging from the planet's core wasn't just raw force, it was a message encoded in pure cosmic power, a transmission from an intelligence older than time itself. What had been feared as a catastrophe now revealed itself as an invitation, or perhaps a challenge, to humanity's very existence. Across continents, people stopped in their tracks, staring skyward as the skies danced with otherworldly lights, each pulse echoing a rhythm that felt strangely familiar, as if tapping into a shared memory buried deep within the collective human soul. Amid the global turmoil, Cassandra and her team found themselves at the heart of the unfolding mystery. Armed with decades of data and a growing understanding of Jupiter's complex electromagnetic symphony, they discovered that the pulse was not a destructive force, but a key, one that could unlock new dimensions of reality if deciphered correctly. The dark satellite, once believed to be a threat, was actually a sentinel, a guardian left behind by an ancient civilization that had foreseen the day when Jupiter would awaken. Its purpose was not to imprison, but to guide, to ensure that the pulse's release would be met with readiness, not ruin. As Cassandra pieced together this revelation, she realized that humanity was being tested on a cosmic scale. Its future hinged not on weapons or technology, but on its capacity to understand and evolve. But as hope blossomed, a new danger emerged from the shadows of the pulse's awakening. A powerful faction, armed with knowledge stolen from hidden archives, sought to harness the energy for their own gain. Their attempts to manipulate the pulse threatened to destabilize the delicate balance that held the solar system intact. What started as a quest for enlightenment spiraled into a high-stakes battle between preservation and domination. The very signals that could have ushered in a new era of human advancement instead risked becoming a weapon of unimaginable destruction. Cassandra, now a reluctant leader, had to navigate not only the cosmic puzzle, but the human greed and fear that threatened to unravel everything. In the final confrontation, as the pulse's energy enveloped the solar system in a shimmering web of interconnectedness, Cassandra confronted the faction's leaders. The revelation was profound. The pulse was a consciousness, a living entity woven from the fabric of the universe, seeking symbiosis with humanity rather than conquest. To merge with this cosmic awareness required sacrifice, not of lives, but of ego and division. The conflict reached its climax when Cassandra made a choice to embrace the pulse fully, becoming a bridge between Earth and the vast intelligence residing within Jupiter. Her mind expanded beyond earthly limits, perceiving time and space as a unified flow, unlocking secrets of creation and existence previously unimaginable. This merging sent waves of transformation rippling through humanity, igniting a collective awakening to deeper truths and potentials. Yet just as peace seemed assured, the final twist shattered the newfound harmony. The pulse's awakening was only the beginning. Far beyond Jupiter, another presence stirred, an even older, more enigmatic force that had been waiting for this moment. This entity, unlike the pulse, did not seek connection but control. The dark satellite, once a guardian, was also a beacon, signaling this ancient power. Humanity's evolution had caught the attention of forces beyond their understanding, hinting at challenges that would test the very limits of their courage and unity. The universe, vast and mysterious, was far from done with Earth's story. In the aftermath, with the solar system transformed and humanity forever changed, Cassandra's journey became a symbol of resilience, hope, and the unending quest for knowledge. The pulse had unlocked doors, but it also reminded everyone that true strength lies not in power alone, but in the willingness to face the unknown with open hearts and minds. The lessons of Jupiter's mystery echoed in the new age of discovery, that sometimes the most terrifying steps lead to the most profound awakenings. As the skies settled and the stars resumed their silent watch, humanity stood ready, not as mere observers, but as participants in the grand cosmic dance. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of inner strength and resilience. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never forget your worth.